Hello, I'm Kieran Devlin, CX Editor at CXN, and I'm delighted to be joined on today's edition of CX Champions by Stefan, Client Experience Lead at HSBC Private Bank. CX Champions is our new interview series where we're celebrating all the wonderful, talented and innovative CX leaders and practitioners in our industry and community across myriad sectors and businesses, bringing unique and insightful perspectives and experiences that will hopefully enrich your own. Welcome, Stefan.
Nice to meet you, Kieran.
Thanks for coming on. We are very ecstatic to have you as our latest CX champion. But before we explore a little about some of your CX wins and challenges, can you please tell us a little about yourself and your journey so far?
So I'm Stefan Witteman, and I currently lead customer experience initiatives across several HSBC Private Bank markets in Europe, the US, and the Middle East. So I started my career in customer relationship management before moving into broader customer experience roles. So I spent around 15 years by now working where basically customer insights, data, and commercial decision making come together. So along the way, I've built various customer experiences capabilities from the ground up. So voice of the customer programs, insights programs, governance, journey building, and also measurement and strategy. So quite a rounded experience. So what I've basically enjoyed the most is always kind of the producing of insights around better decision making that generally means that we're making improvements in customer experience and what customers are telling us. So that means that today I help our private banking teams translate client feedback into improvements across propositions, products and services, but also around strategy. So how can we make sure that what we're doing in terms of strategic direction of the private bank is kind of aligned to what our customers are expecting or our clients are expecting. So in private banking, it's a fascinating environment, not only because clients are simply buying products and services, but they place enormous trust in us to support some of their most important financial decisions. And those decisions often span across generations of the same family. So the experience in private banking isn't just about convenience, it's about trust, confidence, and consistency, and really making sure that every interaction that our clients have with us is personal, while still kind of respecting the privacy and discretion that our ultra network clients rightly so respect.
Terrific. And having such a holistic role across the client experience spectrum, I think is well positioned to answer this next question, because I'm really curious, in your position in private banking, what would you say are some of your favorite CX wins in your career that have been very unique to your discipline and industry?
Yeah, it's a terrific question, Kieran. So I think the one that I'm probably most proud of was building a customer experience capability from the ground up earlier in my career at a different organization. So we didn't just start with sophisticated technology. We really had a clear view on where we want to get to, and found practical ways with limited budget of listening to customers and understanding the themes around improvement areas and opportunities as well, making sure that actually someone owned each of those improvements. So we had real traction in that sense on making things better that matter to a customer. So rather than relying or looking at things to transform overnight, we focused on a handful of visible improvements that demonstrated real value. And once that people saw that impact, we had a really nice momentum within that organization that flowed naturally. But it may be coming back to HSBC Private Bank. I think more recently, one of the success stories is how we helped mature how we listen to our private banking clients. So while we still use relationship NPS, Net Promoter Score, as an important metric, we slowly shifting the conversation away from the score itself and more around the interesting piece of why and what is happening. And for private banking clients, exceptional experiences are rarely about a single interaction, right? They're about consistency across the relationship, how an RM or relationship manager anticipates a needs before it arises, how they proactively reach out to the clients, how smooth we handle particular complex situations like multi-jurisdictional transfers or onboarding, and how well we support the family through kind of wealth transition as well. So there's lots of interesting elements there, and I think really helping our markets to turn those insights into real improvements for relationship managers and their clients has been one of the most rewarding parts, I would say, about my current role. I think another one is probably worth mentioning there as well is around digital experience improvements in one of our markets. So we had a lot of feedback from our clients on some of the digital capabilities in one of the markets around portfolio reporting, around integration of banking related products and services and private banking related products and services, and really build a strong case for investment and making improvements. And that's something that we've done, and something that we achieved great success with as well, where basically technology funding was approved and significant investments were made in digital. And we can see that now in terms of what clients are sharing with us about their particular experience. And it only builds a stronger case for continued investments in this particular area.
Absolutely. But and also I'm curious to pick your brain about almost the flip side there.
Yeah.
Because naturally we're all learning, we're all progressing, and it does help that customer experience, and customer service is a practice that changes practically every month, never mind every year or every couple of years. Can you please tell me about a moment when your approach to customer experience was challenged and what it maybe changed about your strategy?
Yeah, great question. Look, I think a real lesson is always there when funding is maybe reduced or not kind of given for particular initiatives that you like to drive with. There's kind of bigger transformation programs, right? And it's not only at HSBC. You always have a limited amount of budget that you can spend, right? But it does force you to think slightly differently. And I think instead of waiting for the perfect program to be approved, like kind of focusing on those things that you can improve, like as they often call the marginal gains. So I think the small improvements across journeys, whether that will be policy changes, procedure changes, maybe people training, those types of things. There are plenty of opportunities, and I think if you get challenged like that, it's always great to kind of pivot towards more of those things. It's maybe nothing really headline grabbing, but it might be in the private banking context, like the way clients are greeted in the contact center, or the way particular calls are being transferred to specialists. There's many kind of smaller wins that you can make to kind of build confidence and generate evidence of eventually why you should have a case for a bigger investment to improve client experience. So it reinforces really something that I firmly believe in. Customer experience, or sustainable customer experience, isn't just built through one big transformation. I think it's built through kind of continuous improvement, and this doesn't stop, right? You're continuously great opportunities out there to focus and work with other colleagues to make experience better for clients, but also frontline staff, which then inherently goes back to the client. So plenty of opportunities, not always the big programs that obviously get approved, but there's plenty to cover basically. Within CX, you will never be bored.
Absolutely. And I guess maybe one of the biggest, if not the biggest opportunity and challenge is AI and the emergence of AI over the last few years. I imagine AI with its quirks is particularly difficult and exciting to grapple with in a regulated sector like private banking. Where would you say AI is already making a tangible difference in your customer operations, and where do you think the vendors are maybe overselling it so far?
Yeah, and that was a good point. And obviously AI was expected as a topic to come up. I think AI is already creating real value, right? By kind of removing the administrative work of our front office, like relationship managers, investment advisors, like the way, research is summarized, insights are given that are relevant for those particular individuals to engage with clients. If AI is being used to prepare meetings as well. And so there's plenty of opportunities, I would say, that we're tapping into. And HSBC has a big focus, as you would have seen, on some of those AI use cases. And I think it ultimately comes down at this point in time how it kind of helps colleagues to work more efficiently. Like you obviously got different types of AI agents, but also how you embed it in your different workflows where we're kind of heading towards now. And I think for us, it kind of comes down to, okay, how can you give colleagues more time for higher value types conversations that truly matter to our clients and the relationships, right? The relationship building is so fundamental for our private banking relationship managers. So every hour we give back to a relationship manager or anyone supporting them around the client relationship is another hour that they can spend with clients, understanding what's really going on in their lives. And there might be a business sale, there might be succession planning, there might be a move between jurisdictions. I think there's plenty of opportunities there that AI is making already great difference. Now, to your point around where the industry may overstate AI, I guess on some occasions you can see some of the the conversations out there around AI replacing trusted advisors, and maybe not to the kind of level that we're looking at. I think wealth management isn't just about finding the right answer. It's about helping clients make confident decisions at some of the most consequential moments in their lives, often with family dynamics and impact and kind of long-term horizons attached to that as well. So I think, trust, judgment, like empathy, discretion, they all remain deeply human qualities. And I think clients at this level expect that, exactly. So they want AI maybe to enable those colleagues to make kind of decisions for the client, but AI will make a great private banker even better, right? It won't replace them. So for me, the future of private banking isn't kind of less human. It's more human, but supported with better technology. Is what I would say.
Terrific. And I guess that this is allied to your previous answer, is this idea of customer experience as being intended as a company-wide discipline, as the Platonic ideal. But in practice, in the reality of a day-to-day business, it can tend to sit in one team, and then there can be fight for budget with all the other departments. I was just like, from your perspective, how do you actually embed CX thinking across an entire organization that maybe sometimes has other priorities?
Yeah, of course. Look, there are many different priorities, definitely within private banking, and we'll come to that in a moment. But I guess one principle that's kind of guided me throughout my customer experience career is that customer experience shouldn't be owned just by customer experience, any kind of central team. Everyone should own that. I think the role of a CX function is really to making, it's easier for the organization to improve, right? And that means giving leaders simple measures that they trust, that they see as an impact, turning feedback into practical actions, showcasing how better experiences also improve commercial outcomes and efficiency, and celebrating the teams delivering those improvements, making sure that the right behaviors are embedded. So I think in private banking especially, there are many competing priorities, as I mentioned. You're talking very high regulations, risk, operational efficiency, always the push for more sales and growth, obviously. And I think for CX, the real traction when you stop talking happens when it's in isolation, and instead you show how a smoother onboarding journey, for example, reduces risk exposure as well, or how better listening to clients can be used to spot and act on real opportunities that support growth in, say, assets under management. So I think when CX is framed as a commercial or risk lever rather than it being a soft add-on, I think it earns a seat at the table where some of the most important decisions are being made. So it's a company-wide discipline, as you say, but in my view, everyone owns it, right? You see often out there that CX is a team sport, which in my view is the case. And I think as a central CX function, you should just help enable the rest of the organization in making sure that better experiences are delivered, not better reporting, but better experiences.
No, 100%. I couldn't agree more. It should be like this organic, natural process that is embedded across every department. Two more questions before I let you go, Stefan. What would you say is the biggest change in customer expectation you've had to adapt to in the last 2 to 3 years? And what did it change about your own process?
Yeah, it's a good question. Look, I think the biggest shift is probably, if I talk about private banking, right, the increasingly expectation that organizations know the clients. I think they don't think in channels or departments or only HSBC Private Banking. They look at the HSBC brand, and they simply expect you to remember who they are, anticipate their needs, and remove kind of unnecessary effort as well for those clients. So I think in private banking, clients they kind of refer to increasingly expect the same kind of simplicity, I guess personalization they get from leading technology brands as well, where they compare us against, right? And layered on top of then the piece of trust and discretion and human advice that defines this industry and makes it so special. So and they're not only choosing between digital and a trusted advisor, it's the combination of both that their clients are expecting. And I think AI has accelerated this massively. I don't think it surprised me the direction of travel. I think we all expected more personalization and relevancy. I think it's the pace and some of the good use cases you see out there. So the baseline has shifted remarkably fast, and we're also seeing it play out across generations as wealth passes to younger family members, right? Like with quite some different expectations of how they want to engage. and maybe a bit more digital, and maybe engage with different types of individuals. So I think at the same time, clients are just as clear that they expect their data to be handled responsibly, with trust and privacy being not only nice to have, they are absolutely core. But I think that level of personalization and us knowing the clients and us getting the clients of what they actually want and anticipate in that sense, the proactive outreach, I think, are probably things that are being accelerated right now with the use of, for example, AI.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I think speaking to other CX leaders and across industries, this is absolutely, this is important in regulated sectors, but also even in retail and hospitality, this is that sort of personalization is almost like the next North Star, and AI is obviously a great enabler in that, but the human in the loop will always be important, especially for just that sense of empathy. One final question then, Stefan. If you could give one piece of advice to someone stepping into a CX management role for the first time, what would it be?
One piece of advice. So I think first of all, like, look, you don't focus on owning the customer experience. So focus on enabling others to deliver it. So spend time really understanding how your organization works, who makes the decisions, learn and understand the commercial side of the business. In private banking, it means generally understanding as well how relationship managers work, because they are absolutely essential, and what clients are looking to achieve with their wealth. So you really need to get under the grasp of that. You need to get under the bonnet, and building relationships, right? Deliver a few meaningful improvements that people can see and feel. And I guess that's building credibility, and making sure you kind of establish a name for yourself in doing so. And I know you only asked for one, but maybe if I give the final one, it's probably more important, is never stop being curious, right? I think the expectations with AI and technology is moving fast, and I think some of the best CX folks out there help shape that direction, not just react to it. And with customer expectations constantly evolving, I think so should we. And if we keep and stay curious, we keep listening and turning insight into real action, we'll create experiences, right, that clients in private banking trust, remember, and hopefully tell others about as well. So yeah, a couple of things in there, but the one I would probably say, get to understand the organization, how it works, and how the decisions are being made.
No, absolutely. I think that's a terrific one. Never lose that sense of curiosity. I think that's an excellent line to take with. But that is it for this edition of CX Champions. So a massive thank you to Stefan for being here.
You're absolutely welcome, and thank you for having me.
And if you enjoyed this video and would like more key sites and entertainment, please like, share and subscribe to CXM. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.